Hello, welcome everybody to the next episode of our Secrets Revealed series. Today we are interviewing a Princeton student, and I think that we are going to have a very, very interesting conversation today about the secrets behind life at Princeton. My name is Shane Gardner. I'm the founder of Business Brilliance, and today I'm excited to introduce you to Brian Bowler. It's nice to meet you, Brian, and I'm looking forward to interviewing you here.
Yeah, thanks for the great introduction, Shane. I'm really looking forward to our conversation, and I think I have some insights that can be really helpful to a lot of people. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, so Brian, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What are you studying?
Yeah, so I'm originally from New Jersey, so not far from Princeton at all. I am right now I'm majoring in computer science. I really enjoy building things, and I kind of view computer science as like a conduit to express my creativity. And I think it's a really dynamic and evolving field, especially in today's world. So I just I derive a lot of excitement and passion from computer science. As far as who I am, I'm on the track team here at Princeton. Running is a big part of my life, but I have a ton of other things I'm interested in. I love to surf. I'm actually the founder of the Princeton Surf Club. So surfing is a lot of fun. I like to rock climb. And yeah, that's just me in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, you sound very adventurous. And, that's something I didn't even know from our last conversation that you founded the Princeton Surf
Oh,
Club. But, I'm interested, and I think our audience is as well as like, what made you choose Princeton? Did you have any other option that you could have chose from, or, what made you want to go to Princeton?
yeah, for me, I guess I had a little bit of a different, story than most other applicants because I was looking to run out of school as well. And running was definitely a big part of my application. And it was definitely a tough decision. I was looking at a lot of other schools, especially Villanova and UVA, and the other Ivies as well. But I think it ultimately came down to just kind of like clicking with the culture. The team was really important. I really like the team. And ultimately, I really like the school. I think it gave me an ability to, pursue, both my athletic career, but also, and more importantly, like, my professional life career for one day, for the future. And I think, just, yeah, the biggest part, just, great athletics, but also, world-class academics, and just a great school environment. And I also think being close to home is pretty underrated. And that was a factor I definitely took into consideration.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think a lot of people feel that, being too close to home could be a bad thing, but I kind of think it's more of a benefit than most people actually think, just because you have that comfortability and it allows you to just adapt to your environment a lot easier, especially at an Ivy League school. It's extremely important to do so. So, Ryan, you mentioned that you were studying CS, and, in our last conversation, you also mentioned that you are doing a minor in entrepreneurship. What makes you so passionate about that sort of field of study? And, do you see yourself actually going through with those studies?
Yeah, for sure. As I mentioned earlier, I'm super passionate in CS. It really just gives you a lot of like, methods to, express your creativity. And then as far as entrepreneurship, I think really like, I know we talked about this before, but a lot of CS majors, learn all the CS knowledge, but they don't really know how to apply it. And I think, having this entrepreneurship aspect really gives me the accountability to use what I've learned and apply it to build real things in the world, like real tangible websites, applications that can, really make a difference, really help people. So I think having that entrepreneurship, focus on the side, they both complement each other and they both, contribute to, helping me actually use my knowledge, for the good.
Totally. Yeah, I can definitely see and understand that. Princeton is one of the world's best schools for, computer science and stuff like that. But, within your experience, I'm curious what makes Princeton unique in your eyes? Like, what makes it stand out amongst all of the other schools? What makes it special?
Yeah, totally. I guess I can talk to kind of like the micro and the macro scales of, the differences between Princeton. Um, as far as kind of like the fun, like, micro level differences. We have these things called eating clubs, which are like, almost like communities. where I would describe it as a fraternity, but it's more just like a community where people like eat and there's there's the party scene, but you don't have to be involved in that. And it's pretty cool. There's this street where there's these big houses with the 12 eating clubs. And I think this eating club aspect is something that's pretty unique to Princeton. And then as far as like the on a macro scale, some things that are like really separate Princeton. I would just there's a lot of great schools out there, and I could speak to I'm sure I'd be happy at a number of schools, but what really gets me excited about Princeton every day is just the culture of growth and progress that's like you're constantly surrounded by. It's kind of funny, like on a physical scale, like there's constant construction, and they're always building something. Um, but as far as like the culture is concerned, every single person there is always striving to get the most out of themselves every day and push themselves and you know venture forward is like Princeton's motto. And I just whenever I'm in Princeton, I'm surrounded by all these really ambitious, talented, but highly driven individuals. And just being in that environment, this positive and, you're almost like your only option is to succeed when you're surrounded by all these people that are just, pushing themselves and pushing each other. So, yeah.
Totally. Yeah, that's amazing. And I'm curious because I mean, you and I share a common experience, we're both on the track team at an Ivy League school and did not get here off, pure academics, right? And so I'm curious, at Princeton, did you ever feel imposter syndrome when coming into the school with all of these different people who sort of got in academically where you used your athletic capabilities to, leverage such a great opportunity?
Yeah, 100%. I think coming in, it was definitely, really humbling. Meeting all these people that had like started companies like, worked in research to like cure cancer and like written like 20 books. Like everyone has just like a crazy, resume of stuff they've done. But I think just being in the class environments and, actually seeing for myself, it made me understand that like, before Princeton, I'd kind of put all these people on like a pedestal. But, once I actually got into class environments, I realized that, everyone's just the same as me. Like they're all human. Yes, they have everyone kind of like an expert in some field. Doesn't matter what it is. They're I'd say everyone's kind of like world class at something. But at the end of the day, everyone puts on their pants the same way, and I think everyone is just as similar as me. And I think it's humbling. So like it gives you confidence to know that you really belong, and um, you know everyone there is there for a reason, and you just have to accept that and derive some confidence from that.
Totally. And I think there's a point, there's a very fine line within the Ivy League, at least from my experience, to where there can be a very inspiring culture of everybody around you, achieving all of these great things. But at the same time, I've also seen a lot of people feel as if the Ivy League is just this very pretentious place to where everybody within it is, very entitled and egoic. Do you see those things at Princeton or within the Ivy League as a whole from your perspective?
Yeah, so I had been wary of that coming in, that kind of like almost like a negative misconception about, Ivy League schools and, Princeton in particular. But I think going in, I had just been kind of like blown away by, I would say like the exact opposite is true. I think like I would just be having a normal conversation with somebody and, I would look them up later and they were like, had like, like worked on, you know, like building a massive company on the side and like they had just never even mentioned it. Or like, I'd be just getting coffee with a professor and the whole time I was having this conversation, he had won like 4 Nobel Prizes in something. And I think like, yes, everyone is really talented and has done these great things, but I think so many people are just super humble about it and, super, kind of like they don't necessarily view themselves as their achievements. It's something they do. It's something, they take a lot of pride in. But at the end of the day, everyone's on the same level as anyone else. Yeah, so that's how I describe my experience with that.
Yeah, no, I see the same things like from my experience, right? Like I definitely think, there's a good and a bad side, but I think it also has to do with, where you're actually balancing your time as a student at one of these Ivy League schools. And so at Princeton, you mentioned how you're the founder of the surfboarding club, you're on the track team, you're studying CS and minoring in entrepreneurship simultaneously. How are you managing and balancing all of your time for all of these different things in such a high intensity environment?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. I think as a student athlete, they say you have three lives. You have a academic life, an athletic life, and a social life, and you can only pick two out of the three. Um, while I don't necessarily agree with that, I think it's really important to be intentional with your time. Um, and you only have so much time in a day. You can't possibly, be 100% firing in on all cylinders and try to get every single thing done. You have to be patient with yourself. Um, but I also think it's really important, and something that really works for me is I like to be 100% invested in what I'm doing at that moment. Um, like for example, when I'm at track practice, I don't think about anything else. I don't think about school. I don't think about grades. I don't think about, problems in the world. The only thing I care about is running and, working to win championships with my team. But on the flip side, when I'm studying, when I'm working, I try to just stay focused on that particular subject at that moment. And I don't like to let, other aspects of my life bleed in. So I think really like just, separating yourself from the other aspects of your life and just being fully invested in that moment, just really like refreshing, and it lets you really pursue different aspects of your life 100%. And then I would also say like when I'm like hanging out with friends or relaxing, I like to, they like that the saying like work hard. I like to, work really hard. And like or track and field, you don't necessarily play, but I like to, run really hard. But when I'm hanging out with my friends, I like to just separate myself from school, separate myself from running. And it just really gives me a chance to like rejuvenate myself and, feel just as motivated to, attack running and attack school again the next day. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, really being intentional with your time, really just gives you a lot of freedom.
Totally. Yeah, I think, intention is one of the most important things anybody can really focus on within their life. And, I think as we start to wrap this up, it seems like you have, a lot of great perspectives that you've been able to build throughout your time at Princeton. And, I think the last question I want to ask you today is what is one piece of advice that you would want to give either somebody coming to Princeton, somebody who wants to get into Princeton, or even somebody who's already in Princeton, that, you feel like you've learned throughout your time there?
Yeah, totally. I guess as far as getting into, Princeton or really any school, I think it's really important to um, understand that, at least at Princeton, they don't necessarily like they don't necessarily view being well-rounded as important as being, very good at something. So I think yes, it's really important to, get good grades, be involved in school, do community service, do all that. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's better to be, a master of one trade than a jack of all trades. So I would say find something that you are really passionate about and that you really care about, and just invest yourself fully into it. Because I think a lot of people at Princeton, they're all world class at something. But I also think that like anybody, like no matter who you are, you have the potential to be world class and be in the top 1% of something. You just have to find out what it is, and commit a lot of time and energy and effort into that. So I think obviously, yeah, like get good grades, good test scores, all that jazz. But I think what really going to separate yourself and get you into Princeton or any school you want to apply to is just finding something you're really passionate about and just putting in like compound effort every day. And you'd really surprise yourself, how much better you can get at that thing like over the course of weeks, months, years. Um, so yeah, that's the piece of advice I'd give. Just find something you're really passionate about and just really go all in, and invest yourself into it.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that also ties in with, the importance of intention, right? Like if you are intentional about compounding your growth day by day in that thing that you're very passionate about, I'm quite sure and certain that success is somebody's destiny if they're taking those steps. So, Brian, I really am grateful for this opportunity to have this conversation with you. It really was very insightful to say the least, and I hope our audience feels the same way. And if you want to connect with Brian, his LinkedIn and all of his other socials will be in the description of this video. And I'm sure that he's very, very eager to connect with any and everybody who is interested in to hear his journey. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I'm your host, Shane Gardner, and I will see you in our next Secrets Revealed video. Thank you so much, Brian, and take care, everybody else.
Yep.
Have a good
Thanks so much for having me, Shane. I really appreciate it. And yeah, anyone, if you have any questions, hit me up. I'm an open book. And yeah, have a great day, guys.
Awesome. Take care, guys.